So Habakkuk is what we're talking about. And so just to remind you what we've been looking at Habakkuk during this past week. Remember, he's been kind of on a roller coaster ride of history. He has seen some good times and some bad times. He was alive when Josiah had been king, and Josiah had created a huge revival in Judah, and everything had been going very, very well, and they had returned to God, and there was just prosperity in the land, and things were really, really good. And then Josiah got himself killed, and then things got really, really, really bad again. And so Habakkuk, in response to that, is a little bit frustrated with God. And so he's making accusations against God. Now, if you're following along in your Bible or on your tablet or on your phone or whatever, it might say up at the top, it might say Habakkuk's complaints. But is that what it says in yours, Janet? Yeah, Habakkuk's complaints. And these aren't really complaints. I want to kind of make that clear, that these aren't necessarily complaints, even though that's what it says. That's just a translation, something that was added later. This wasn't, part of the original text or anything like that. He's actually making a legal case against God. He's actually kind of making some accusations. God, if you are God, then why are you letting this happen? So he's not just saying, things are bad. God, why are things so bad? He's actually saying, God, things are bad, and you should be taking care of these things because you are good. And so he's making accusations and kind of a legal case against God. And so he's being very bold and very honest, which I said last week is a very good thing. When we approach God, we need to not be afraid to let him know what our real emotions are because, frankly, he knows what they are anyway, right? So why try to hide those? But we need to be bold as we approach God with our prayers. And so Habakkuk did that. He was very bold and very honest about what he saw going on in his country. And he said, basically, how long, God? How long are you going to do nothing? How long are you going to watch the evil and the injustice and the wickedness that's going on, not outside of our country, although there was a lot of wickedness and a lot of evil and a lot of injustice that was going on outside of Judah. But within Judah, we had some Judah on Judah stuff going on, and it wasn't good. And he says to God, how long are you going to do nothing? How long are you going to sit here and let your people continue in their wickedness? How long are you going to do nothing? And so tonight, God is about to talk back. And we're not going to just hear his response. We're going to hear kind of a conversation between him and Habakkuk that's going to carry on a little bit further. I've made a really bad mistake. I've left my water bottle right in front of my monitor back there. Jim? Or TC, whoever can get there first, doesn't matter. Thank you, sir. I don't necessarily need my water bottle. Whoa. I just need it to not be in front of my monitor. So thank you. I'll take it, though. I will take it. So God is about to talk back, and we're going to hear this conversation between him and Habakkuk. And we're going to start in chapter 1, verse 5. This is the first thing that God has to say back to Habakkuk here. He says, "Look among the nations and see, wonder, and be astounded. For I am doing a work in your days that you would not believe if you were told." So that's more like it, right? Habakkuk says, how long are we going to do this? How long are you going to not pay attention to what's going on? And God says back to him, hey, I'm about to do something. I'm about to do something. He's about to get to work. And not only is he about to get to work, you're going to be wondering and astounded at what he's about to do. You're going to say, wow, that is crazy. That is astounding. And not only that, you're not going to be able to imagine how this is going to work. You're not going to be able to imagine how I'm going to take care of all these things. And I'm laughing because I know the rest of the story. But anyway, now this particular verse, Habakkuk chapter 1, verse 5, great bumper sticker, doesn't it? That's a great bumper sticker. It's like, be amazed at what I'm about to do amongst the nations. And look and wonder and be astounded at what I'm about to do because I'm God and I'm going to take care of these things. It's a popular verse in the bumper sticker. It's kind of long for a bumper sticker, but still it's a good sentiment. It's also very popular in the youth ministry t-shirt arena. As a youth minister, I was constantly trying to find t-shirts for like summer camp and mission trip and Cascade and all that kind of stuff. And there were websites and companies that I would generally go to, and they would always have these samples of different shirts and different themes for you to have at your retreat. And this was a popular one. This verse was a popular one because it sounds like, God's about to do big, really cool, awesome things, and you've like big, cool, awesome things. And so it was really, really fancy. And again, if it fit on a bumper sticker, it would be great in the bumper sticker market. But there's more. There's more after this verse. Because after God says, watch out, I'm about to get to work, and you're going to be astounded at what I'm going to do, and the nations are going to go, wow. Here's what I'm talking about. For behold, God says, I'm raising up, yeah, I hear that giggle. I am raising up the Chaldeans, that bitter, hasty nation who march through the breadth of the earth to seize dwellings not their own. They are dreaded and fearsome. Their justice and dignity go forth from themselves. Their horses are swifter than leopards, more fierce than the evening wolves. Their horsemen press proudly on. Their horsemen come from afar. They fly like an eagle swift to devour. They all come for violence, all their faces forward. They gather captives like sand. At kings they scoff, and at rulers they laugh. They laugh at every fortress, for they pile up earth and take it. Then they sweep by like the wind and go on, guilty men whose own might is their God. So, wait, what? Wait a minute. I want to go back to verse 5. I liked that. I liked verse 5 is probably what, if the verses were marked in there, but they weren't. Habakkuk probably really liked that. Yeah, I'm about to do something. It's going to be big. It's going to be awesome. You're going to be amazed. But then God said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something about this wickedness, violence, and injustice. I'm going to take care of all of this stuff that's going on in Judah. But context matters. And so you have to read all of it. And basically, if we want to add to verse 5 and kind of shorten it a little bit so that it's in its context, basically it should say, look among the nations and see, wonder and be astounded, for I am doing work in your days that you would not even believe if I told you. And that's great on a t-shirt and a bumper sticker, but then if you go on, and you're all going to die, is basically what God's saying. That doesn't make as good of a youth t-shirt, okay? Let me just tell you that. That's, or not a bumper sticker. But that's basically what God's response to Habakkuk was. I'm going to do something crazy. I'm going to do something that people are going to wonder at and be astounded at. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take your enemies. Remember those Chaldeans or Babylonians that we talked about last week? One of the big powers in the world at the time. I'm going to let them come and take over. God is going to allow the Chaldeans to come and destroy the wickedness, violence, and injustice of the people of God. That's how he's going to take care of it. Habakkuk wanted them to do something, and he said, yep, I'm about to get right on that. And here's how I'm going to do it. Here's how I'm going to do it. And in the place of wickedness, violence, and injustice is going to be wickedness, violence, and injustice. Because the Chaldeans, they were a mess too, right? And in fact, they were, you've heard that description of them, leopards and wolves and eagles and all this kind of stuff. They were bad news. And God says back to Habakkuk, yep, I'm getting right on that, and it's going to be crazy, and the Chaldeans are coming, and they're going to take care of the problems in Israel. And as you can imagine, Habakkuk's not too pleased with this answer. It's like, that's not what I was saying, God. That's not what I wanted to hear back. I said I wanted you to do something, but not that. That's not what I wanted you to do. And so he starts talking back to God. And he says, are you not from everlasting, O Lord my God, my Holy One? We shall not die. O Lord, you have ordained them as judgment, and you, O Rock, have established them for reproof. You who are of purer eyes than to see evil and cannot look at wrong. Why do you idly look at traitors and remain silent when the wicked swallows up the man more righteous than he? Now, Habakkuk's still being pretty bold here, obviously. He's still being pretty honest, but I think he's starting to kind of break a little bit, because right up here at the beginning, he's got a little flattery. He's like, oh God, oh everlasting God. And he starts pouring all these, compliments on God, because he knows he's probably on a little bit shaky ground here. And so he says, yeah, God, you are everlasting, everlasting. Surely we will not die. Surely that's not what you meant. Surely you didn't intend that these evil men were going to come in and kill the evil men of Israel. Surely that's not what you meant. Right, God? And he's aware. He's totally aware that the Judeans have not behaved well. but they're better than the Chaldeans, right? I mean, come on, we are bad, but what about those guys? And I think Habakkuk needs to quit complaining and quit comparing here, right? We talked about this whole comparing thing, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's saying, wait, God. I mean, I know we're bad, but we're not as bad as those guys. Why don't you take care of those guys? What do you mean you're going to take care of us by using those guys to bring justice when they're not going to bring justice? They're going to continue to bring wickedness. And then he gets even more bold, and we're not going to read, there's more scripture here, we're not going to read it all, but he gets even more bold, and it's kind of like, okay, God, I've got an illustration here, just so you'll understand what I'm talking about. And so he goes on, and he gets even bolder by describing God as a fisherman. And he said, God, it seems like you're this fisherman, and you've cast out your net, and you're catching and killing the righteous together with the wicked. You're punishing the righteous along with the wicked. And it's kind of like, oh, wait a minute. When did you guys become righteous? I thought you guys were wicked. I thought you were evil. I thought you were unjust. But now that God's going to take care of that, he's saying, you're like a fisherman who throws out your net and you just bring in whatever. And in that net are Judeans and Chaldeans and who knows who else. And then he accuses God of being happy about the kill. And after you bring in these fish and after you kill them, you're happy and you rejoice about it. This is what he has to say about God. And at the very end of his rant, he says this. He says, is he then to keep emptying his net and mercilessly killing nations forever? Let me remind you, he's talking to God here. He's talking to God. Pretty bold. Which last week we said was good. This week? I don't know. So God talks back. Or no, I'm sorry. We haven't got to God talking back yet. At the end of his rant, Habakkuk says this. At the beginning of chapter 2, he says, after he's made his point and he's created this metaphor so that God will understand what he's talking about. He says, I'm going to take my stand at my watchpost and station myself on the tower and look out to see what he, being God, will say to me and what I will answer concerning my complaint. That's right, prosecution rests, exactly. This is a legal argument he's trying to make against God here. And so Habakkuk's just going to wait for God to answer this one too. After he says all this stuff, he's going to get himself up in the highest place of the city, number one. Not a good idea. I mean, he is unafraid. He's unafraid here. He's made this bold statement to God, and other prophets have done this. Other prophets have made really bold statements, but then they were smart enough to go hide in caves, okay? Not Habakkuk. Habakkuk is like, all right, I've made this really bold statement, and now I'm going to go stand up on a watchtower in the highest place in the city, and I'm going to wait for God to respond. That's not how I would do it. I'd be running around looking for the lowest place possible. But he stands up and does it, and I wish we knew. I wish we knew how long it was before God answered him back. I wish we knew if he had to stand up at that watchtower for very long. I have a feeling that God kind of came back at him pretty quickly. I have a feeling that he didn't have to stand up there and wait for God very long. And so this is what God says back to him. He says, and the Lord answered me, write the vision, make it plain on tablets, so he may run who reads it. For still the vision awaits its appointed time. It hastens to the end. It will not lie. If it seems slow, wait for it. It will surely come. It will not delay. Behold, his soul is puffed up. Basically, that was God's answer to him about, I haven't changed my mind. Now he's talking about Habakkuk here. Behold, he is puffed up. Is it not upright within him? But the righteous shall live by faith. Y'all have heard that. That's on a t-shirt or a bumper sticker somewhere, right? Moreover, wine is a traitor, and arrogant men who is never at rest. So God's putting Habakkuk in his place here. He's putting him in his place. And the first thing he says, not because he was bold, but in his honesty in talking to God. That's not why he's getting put in his place. It's not because he was bold in his honesty, but because he was arrogant about it. He was arrogant about it. And so God is saying, surely you must be drunk. That part about wine, That's what he's saying. He's like, bro, Habakkuk, surely you must be drunk to be saying these things to me. Who do you think you are? You are puffed up. Surely you must be drunk. And here's the answer. He is really clear. Write it down, bro. Write it down. Here's what's going to happen. I haven't changed my mind. Don't just write it on a piece of scrap paper. Put it on rocks. What I said is going to happen is going to happen. It may not happen when you expect it. It may not happen right now, but write it down. The Chaldeans are coming, and I'm going to take care of this. But he's really putting him in his place. I meant to switch the order of that, but then I started doing this whole guitar got stolen thing. Sorry about that. But anyway, he's reminding Habakkuk of his own limitations here. In the midst of him talking back to him, he's reminding him of his own limitations. First of all, he thinks he's drunk. Second of all, he's just reminding him, hey, listen, you, Habakkuk, like all of mankind, you're limited. You're limited in time and in vision. God's not. God's not limited in time or in vision. And so he's saying, hey, this is going to happen. And it's happening for a reason. And it's all going to work together. And it's all going to fit together. And hey, don't forget, I'm God and you're not. And I know what I'm doing. I'm allowing this to happen. You can't see it. You can't see what's best for you. But I can see what's best for you. And his pride got the better of him. Habakkuk's pride got the better of him. He thought that he could see what was best for Israel. Although you never hear him say, he doesn't have an alternate plan here. He's asked God to do something, and then when he doesn't like God's plan, he doesn't have an alternate one, except don't do that one. But his pride got the better of him here, and he forgot his place. He forgot his place. And so honesty is great. When we're approaching God, we need to be very, very honest. But pride is not. Whenever we're praying, it's good to say, God, I don't understand what's going on here and how long is this going to happen and all that kind of thing. But when you start to fight with God about that, you're basically saying, I've got a better idea, God. Hey, let me give you a metaphor so you'll understand what I'm saying. Let me spell this out for you. Let me kind of show you, God, how this is a better plan. Pride is not. Honesty is good. Pride is not. So, what does this have to do with me? Well, we have to remember our place in our prayers, especially when we do not like the way God answers. God answers every time. Something. But we may not like it. We may not like the way God answers. Anyone other than me been there? Anyone? Yeah? Yeah, a few of you willing to raise your hands? Yeah. That we say, God, how long is this going to go on? And he says, a little bit longer. And not only that, but hang on, because you ain't seen nothing yet. Sometimes it's that way. And so we have to remember our place when that kind of thing happens. When God's answering our prayers, but not in the way we would like it. And so Habakkuk, he had no recourse in this case. This was going to happen. This was going to happen. He wasn't going to change God's mind. He wasn't going to change what was going to happen. So what do you do when God answers you back and you don't like the answer?
Thank you.
What do?
Thank you.
You thank him. Yeah, I wish that was my first response. TC, you're a better woman than me. My goodness.
I've learned to have to do that.
Yeah, that's not my first response. I don't know that I go up on the watchtower and, try to tell God what to do, but I sure don't like it. Sometimes I just go hide in the cave because I don't want to talk to him anymore. I don't want to talk to anybody else anymore. But what do you do when God answers you back and you don't like the answer? I mean, it'd be great if we said thanks. It's usually not what we do. We may think Habakkuk was stupid in his boldness, but isn't that our reaction? Isn't that sometimes our reaction? And don't our reactions to God show the same kind of arrogance that Habakkuk had? Don't we sometimes forget that God can't be manipulated, and that God is not just this carved image that sometimes gives us what we want and sometimes doesn't. That's not our God. Our God is the God who can see all time. Our God is the God who has vision for millennia instead of just today. Our God is the God who this whole story is about. Remember, we're the ones, like I said last week, that, we die and the story goes on. No matter who we are, no matter if we're King David or someone a little more like us, we die and the story goes on because it's not our story. It's God's story. And when we come back at God the way Habakkuk did, it just shows our arrogance. So, if we're going to boldly and honestly approach God, we better remember who He is. Better remember who He is. And maybe more importantly, we need to remember who we are. And basically, we're not Him. This is who we're supposed to be. Let's pull that verse out of there and stick it on a bumper sticker because, this is a pretty good one. The righteous will live by faith, even when we don't like the answers. The righteous keep walking, keep trusting, keep allowing God to be God. And remember that we are not. Let's pray together.